Welcome to another Adobe Flash video tutorial. During this particular session, we are going to take a closer look at your Properties panel as well as your Library panel and your Tool panel located here on the right hand side. If you don't see any of these three different items, you can go up to Window up at the top navigation menu and look for those three items. So you're looking for Properties, you're looking for Library, and you're also looking for your tools. So those are the three things that you're looking to be able to pop up as options on the right. The other thing you can do is to simply come over to your workspace essentials here and then select essentials. And if you need to reset it, you can click on reset essentials and it will pop up these items that you see on my screen here. So properties, library, and the tool panels. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at these. We're going to start with properties. So anything that you have selected that's within your window, so if you have a file open that has your graphics, whatever you select, for example, if I were to select the sun here, over to the right hand side in the properties panel, it will adjust the information based on what I've selected. So let me toggle off it and let me come back to it. You'll notice as I toggle between these different objects, you can see clearly that the color is changing. But in case you hadn't noticed, the position and size information is also changing because I'm selecting this item, so it's going to give me information about this particular item here that I've selected. So that's what the properties panel will actually do for you. It's going to give you information. Plus, let's say you had something like I have this brown part of this building, and let's say I didn't like it, I could come in here and actually change the color. And you saw that I changed it to light green. So this is where some of that can happen after you've already designed your artwork and you've decided, I don't like it after all in that color, so you can come in here and make those changes. You can also change the position and the size of the item by simply clicking in here and typing in the X and Y coordinates and the width and the height as well. Notice that, let me zoom in here, when I hover over like this, it gives me the two little arrows that are sticking out next to the finger there. I can just click and then drag to make it bigger if I drag to the right, or drag to the left to change the X coordinates. It's the same thing with the width and the height. If I hover over it until it gives me those little arrows, I can actually drag. If I go to the right, it's going to make this a lot bigger. If I go to the left, it's going to make it a lot smaller. We've definitely done some edits here, so you can see we moved our roof over when we were messing with the position section. But that's exactly what we were doing, and you can easily do this again by simply dragging these items around as needed. So you can adjust those features that way. It is really convenient to use this as a slider as opposed to typing in a number, because you may not know the exact number of where you want this or how what the width or the height is, and so this is another way in which you can actually figure those things out. You'll see that there's some other options down here that you can certainly customize, but you'll become a little more and more familiar as you learn more and more about Flash. But those were just a couple of things, a couple of tips that you should be aware of when it comes to your properties panel. Let's jump over into the library. Anytime you create an object and you've converted that object and it's now, think of it as like a graphic, it will convert it into your symbols here, which you see. So this is the same thing that you would have up here in a drop-down menu. You'd be able to get to your symbols this way. But anytime you create a symbol, it'll put it here in your library section. And the reason why this is kind of nice is because I can select a symbol here and be able to see what it is right above it. I can also drag and drop these and actually choose to use some of these within my timeline, as opposed to having to go and create another one or doing a copy and a paste. Because they sit here in this section, I can actually pick and choose when I want to use these, almost like a placeholder for your content, and then you can drag and drop them down into your timeline, which is very, very convenient. You'll notice down at the very bottom, you do also have some features very similar to your layers. You can actually create a new symbol. You can add a folder and then put your symbols in the folder, and you can also delete the symbols that you may currently have selected. Works very similar to the way your layers panel works in your timeline. So very, very similar, those features that are down there at the bottom. Alright, and then the next thing that I'm going to share with you is, or tell you a little bit about, is going to be your tool panel located here, in this case over to the right hand side. Remember that if you're in the Essentials view, it will like glue it down here to the right hand side, so this is where you have to come to be able to view these. In your tools panel, you will find different tools that will let you draw. You can select things, modify artwork, you can paint, as well as even change the different views of your stage. So you can do lots of different things from your toolbar menu. So lots of different options all the way across the side here. Those of you who've worked in, if you've worked in Adobe before, in other Adobe products, you're going to see that there are a lot of different tools that do cross over. For example, the very first tool is your selection, and then the one that I call the open selection or the white selection, this is called your sub-selection tool, where you have just the white little arrow there. And then you'll see things like the pen tool, the different pen tools that you're probably used to seeing in other programs like Adobe Illustrator. You've got your text tool, etc., the line, and then the shapes here. Remember that whenever you see the little black triangle located at the very corner, the right bottom corner of any of your toolbar, if you click and hold it down, let me zoom out a little bit here. When you click and hold it down, it'll pop up additional options. So again, anytime you see the black little rectangle down, or the black little triangle down there at the bottom, click it down for just a second, and then you can come over to this menu and pick and choose which tool you want from that set that is there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here so we can bring it back to view here. So in this tutorial, we reviewed a little bit about the properties, library, and the tools panels. There are going to be a lot of other panels on in Adobe Flash, but these are definitely some really important ones you need to know, especially as you're first starting to work with Adobe Flash. So once again, if you do not see them here, make sure you come up to Window and select those items, or go over to Essentials and select Essentials, and it will bring into view these different panels.